Check, check, check. Beautiful friends, welcome, and thank you so much for your time, your energy. It's the last day. How has it been so far? Everybody got what they needed? Amazing. So today I'm here to talk to you not from a place of scientist, doctor. I come here as an avid seeker of truth that has put himself into some of the most rigorous experiences on earth. And the reason why I was hurting, I was chronically fatigued, I had Epstein-Barr, depression, anxiety, and I had a lack of purpose, even though I have checklists, all of the buckets of American dream. And so it led me on a journey through self-transformation, which is what we all are on, some shape or another. But how aware, conscious, and what do we do to actually take this charge back into our own hands? Now, what I would like to share with you is just a few of these pivotal moments, and then we're going to do a little coherence. So for me, I am born and raised in Czech Republic. I started off as a professional athlete that had his dreams to cycle Tour de France and do all of these things. And I did become a professional athlete, but it completely destroyed my health. When I was 17, I started my first business. I was trading between Alibaba and eBay because I had to have a choice. How do I feed and fuel this thing called cycling? Now, what happened was, instead of me recovering and sleeping at night, I ended up working, getting on calls, and being in a constant fight or flight, which led me to completely destroy my health, where I collapsed in a national race and moved to America. Now, when I went to US, I went all in. There is variety of experiences we can have, and for me, I put all the endurance into building Orange Theory fitness franchises all over the country. Now, at the peak, I had nearly 100 franchisees on my belt with 7 different regions, and the reason why I'm saying this to you is because I lost it again. I got burned out. And even though I had all of the success, I had the same issue, this little inner voice that kept on talking to me. Is this it? There's more to life. Now, as an entrepreneur, I committed myself that every 3 months, I'm going to do something out of my comfort zone. And some of the things that I've done is samurai camp in Japan. I spent a month with the psychics in Brazil. I went around the world and learned from shamans, gurus, teachers, and literally tried every plant medicine out there to fill this pain. And it wasn't until I went into a dark room for the first time in the middle of Thailand about 7 years ago that I walked in there as an entrepreneur. Here's my cell phone, and I want peace. Now, that peace didn't come until day 7. Now, this is 10 days with no food, no light, completely surrounded by just meditation. And let me tell you, the monkey brain, the emotional pain, all of the things that I have not been paying attention to start coming up. And for the first time in my life, I had a moment that I felt myself for who I am, not for who I am not for who I am told. And so I literally walked out of that cave, and I decided to live in service. So NOA AON, which is the brand that we support today, NOA means movement, AON is all or none. And it symbolizes duality, highs and lows, and good days and bad days. And I don't know about you, but I was done playing this game of highs and lows. And I was like, there is another way. And there is another way. It's the one in the middle. When we go into the health, happiness, harmony, and we face our traumas, we face our mind, and we actually get on this journey from a conscious point of view. Now, when I walked out of there, I rediscovered my passion, my purpose, and legacy. And what that was, my passion became music. So I learned how to DJ, how to produce sound, and the regular sound wasn't enough. So I'm producing now in a solfeggio frequency on a modern beat. So we have these conscious raves that we bring people on through breath, through dance, through meditation, to realize that we don't have to just meditate in silence to be able to have these insights. Now my purpose became lectures, retreats, workshops, and we do about 150 events out of the year all across the globe, and I never look back. And legacy is, how do we make means with this? That's where I got stuck the most. So within about 2 years after I decided to be in service, I lost everything. All of the money I have made, I got divorced. I mean, literally every single thing was upside down to realign myself into the new greatest expression that I'm today. Now, what I would like to do is something called a love coherence. If we can turn off the light for a moment, and I would like to ask you, can you reach for your neighbors on the left and right and just connect with their hands? Now, what I've learned about life is we live in this disconnected world, scrolling our phones up and down, and there is this power in a group, unified realms. And so for this, yes, if you don't have anybody next to you, just imagine you're part of it. It's okay. And just close your eyes. When you close your eyes, just imagine all of your consciousness step down into your heart and start breathing in and out of your heart. When you inhale into your heart, exhale to this group. Connect to those hands. Feel the minus plus electricity rushing through every pore of your skin. Stepping into this big heart. And what I would like to ask you, we're gonna do one round of deep breathing to come back to our center. One tribe, one breath. Let us start breathing deep into your nose and out of your mouth. Deeply in. Let it out. Deeply in. Let it out. With each inhale, generate love from your heart. With each exhale, send it to this group. With each inhale, bring up what you are. With each exhale, send it out all around you. Keep on breathing deep, and as we're heading towards the last few seconds, can we go a little bit faster? Final 10. Little bit deeper. Now bring up that louder, deeper, that frequency of who and what we are. Final 3. Final 2. And one more deep inhale. Hold your breath. Squeeze your bathroom muscle, lower abdomen, upper abdomen. Send this to your heart. Open up the doorways of your heart. Extend it to your arms and squeeze your hands. Become one. Feel that vibration, that pulsation of a unified realms. And slowly release. Let it go. And bring up your hands somewhere on your body to acknowledge you for this moment, for today. Give yourself a credit and big thanks for how amazing you already are. And this is what we live for. This is what NOA movement is about. Bringing people back together through variety of tools, so we can rise together as one. And that was a hard stop. back to the other part. No, so sorry for that. But stay in this frequency, stay connected to your breath. And now with this new awareness, how many of you felt a little bit of a vibration rushing through you? Beautiful, amazing. So I don't know about you, but in my quest through this journey, I had brought it back down to two ways to live. It's the fear and it's the love. Now, when we make decisions and choices out of fear, it's that density, kind of like a keynote on a piano, where we have a choice to learn from the higher love, joy, vibration, or the lower, the fear, pain, and anxieties. Now, my whole life, I learned through the gutter. I learned through the darkness, and I thought that if it's not hurting, it's not good enough. And I wasn't worthy of the magnitude that we already are. And so when we are limitless, look at that expanded field around us. And there's a reason why this world wants us to be limited, because imagine what it would do to our social structures. Now, what's interesting about this, I also want to measure this. And so I've been followed by a group of scientists to do EEG tracking, which we're actually coming up with a technology that will be able to do this in a group, moving. We're creating something like Peloton for your brain, because we want to give people the feedback so they actually understand what do these zones feel like. Now, this is from a conference in Amsterdam where we had a lot of people on a HeartMath device. And as you can see, in just 5 minutes, we're hitting coherence. And that's what we just did, the same exercise. Now, what's really interesting, so I've learned a lot of insights in this journey, and that's something that I would love to share with you today, is a simple framework as to how do we operate in our own journey so we can bring this consciousness to every moment. Now, what I've learned through this is that the life is actually so much more simpler than we make it, and my journey began with tapping into the me, the individual consciousness, which we all know has the mind, body, emotions, and spirit. Now, in this process, because I was so sick, chronic fatigue, I started this journey through my health, and this is when I discovered biohacking, personalized health, supplements, sleep, everything that goes into rebalancing the tempo, because if you are constantly in balance, you're not going to feel happy, right? The brain chemistry, if it's not there, it's going to be very hard to have this amazing experience. Now, the second part was the mind, and when I'm talking about mind, it's the monkey brain. How many of you have overreactive mind at some time? Yes, and it can be a bitch, pardon my language, because that monkey brain is either running or ruining our life. So when I'm talking about mind, I'm talking about software, and the body, the hardware. Now, just like a computer, when you need to download new software, you're connected to the internet. Now, what we do through breathwork, sound, and slowing things down, we're connecting into the inner net, so we can actually face these obstacles in our way. So what I did is I literally was writing every single time I had a negative thought about myself or about another. I would put it in a sentence on my little piece of paper, I would scratch it, and I would rewrite it until I literally start thinking this way. Now, what happened was, guess what? I start feeling worthy. I start feeling strong and energized. And it's not a rocket ship, which is, by the way, the whole message of this. Life is meant to be simple, not hard as we sometimes make it. So that's the software, your mind. Then there is the emotions. And emotions are viewed as a weakness, especially for men in today's world. And what I mean by this is, how do we feel each and every moment in the best possible expression? So if we feel depressed, jealousy, guilt, fear, those are obviously toxic emotions that will be felt in our body. And so I had to go back into traumas. Something that I did in a dark room the first time, the first 4 days of the darkness, I was going in the past. So I remembered every 7 years of my life, and I start facing, who did I hurt? What choices have I made that led me into these consequences? And in the next 4 days, I spent on my future. What do I want to, what is my heart's desire? And so that emotional body really, really had to let go of all of this trauma and pain to be able to feel creative, to be open. Then there is a spirit, and this is an interesting one. When I went to Brazil, these psychics taught me a very simple thing. We've got 5 physical senses, which a lot of times get us in trouble. And then we've got 4 psychic senses, or spiritual gifts, which is from that limitless mind. Those are the insights that we receive when we, for instance, do psychedelics. Now, how do we connect to these senses? So there is our inner hearing, which is the little whisper, that voice that is not the lousy monkey brain, the voice that's telling you, quit drinking alcohol, start working out, maybe move into a new city. It's the little voice that always has your back, but we don't always follow that voice, and that is a problem. So when you hear this voice, the way you strengthen the connection is you simply acknowledge it. Thank you, I heard that, but now, what you gonna do about that? Because without the action, the muscle is weak. So when you go to a gym, you're strengthening your muscles the same way it works to connect back into our psychic senses. Now, the second one is your inner seeing, especially my visionaries or entrepreneurs or really anybody. We get impressions through visions of something that we have not done yet. It could come in a form of colors. It could also come in a form of lucid dreaming. It's something we see, and we don't know where it's from, but it's an insight given from our birthright to be. So same thing, thank you, I saw that. What you gonna do about that to build that connection? The third part is your inner feeling, and that extends from your solar plexus into your hands. And you can actually try that. Anytime you tap into your solar plexus, extend the energy out, you can feel into someone. You can feel into situation, an idea. Those are my empaths of the world that feel it in their body. Now, if you go to a room and there was a fight, something doesn't feel right. It's like in you. So that's your psychic feeling or that spiritual gift. Then we've got the knowing, which is intuition, many different labels for these things. But this is when you knew you shouldn't have gone to the party. You knew that that person was cheating on you. There was no thinking required. So when you think, you don't know. When you know, you don't think. That's how you discern this. But it sometimes gets clouded by the monkey brain because of our personal interests that we've built into. So these 4 ways is how we communicate. Some people call it the higher self, the realized self, the source vibration. It's something that's inside of all of us, because if it wasn't, we would be dead. So essentially, the minute I start connecting into these senses, then all of biohacking went away. I call it now the spirit hacking, because instead of using supplements just because, I start tuning in. I start asking, what is the right thing for me to do right now? And this feedback gets stronger and stronger and louder and louder. And to end this with, I did not believe in this. I was an entrepreneur that came in there with an open heart, an open mind. But the minute I start following this, life has shifted. So that's me, the individual consciousness. Then we've got the we, the collective consciousness. And that is when you start taking care of what you can affect, you're starting to think, what about another? And I bring this down into 2 segments. So it's the human connection, which is your relationships. And you can do a quick assessment. What are the relationships that you spend the most time with? And are they reflecting the best of you? Or are there any of them that are taking you down? So I had to create an army of angels around my life that we now can shine the most beautiful things from each other and grow. And that was a huge piece of that collective frequency shift. Then it's the environment. So we live in a very polluted environment, unfortunately, and it led me into a journey through what is the air that I'm breathing? What is the food that I'm eating? What is the water we're drinking? What about clothes we're wearing? Our skin is a huge organ that if we have a toxic clothing the whole time, but then we're doing everything else right, imagine what you're doing to your body. And so that led me into creating an environment that actually I can thrive in and continue this journey. The final part is the B, which is the supra-consciousness. And so if you think about this, it's the microcycles and macrocycles that we all go through, that we all operate in. Now the B is, if we know that this universe was created 13.5 billion years ago, how did we get here? We're such a little dot in this vast ocean that this is something that we're of, and it will continue coming to us to either re-see these situations or to continue repeating the same cycle. Now, the next part of this is something that I would love for all of you to take away. In this journey, when I start facing different elements, like the mind, like the body, I came to a conclusion that there's really 4 different steps to this process. Step 1 is the wake-up phase. This is when you realize that something is not working. It could be as simple as blood test for your physical body, and maybe you are high on environmental toxins and low on vitamin D. It gives you a data set to start with. It could also be as simple as, what is my mind thinking about? You know, because if you look back into any of your thoughts, anything prominent that keeps on coming back needs to be brought up if it does not work for you. The second part is cleaning up. So I used to be a master at wanting to keep the old and also be the new. And guess what? NOA, AON, highs and lows, and good days and bad days. And I was back in that duality state. So I had to let go of the negative mind. I had to let go of the poison in my body and detox the physical body. Let go of the relationships that don't work. So that way I can power up, which that's the exciting part. This is when we rise. This is when we bring the wheel back into our control and we supplement vitamin D. We bring new relationships in. We start cultivating the greatest, most beautiful heart's desires that we came here to live. So wake up, clean up, power up, and rest up. The final phase of this is the process of unhooking. The reason why I call it unhooking, my whole life up until the dark room, I kept on just doing and doing and doing. We're slaves to the next meeting, to the next call. And when we just sit with each other or within ourselves, we're like almost don't know what to do. Now, what I had to realize is a very simple but regiment tool. And what I do is, first thing in the morning, before I touch the cell phone, I spend an hour just with myself. This is when I do my breath work, my meditation. I visualize the day in front of me. Who am I meeting? How I want the outcome to be. And that way, instead of going straight to fight or flight and chasing after whatever we're doing that day, you put that power back to you. The second one is once a week, I take complete day off from digital, physical. I mean, it's a one day that I'm completely retracting or unhooking from everyone. So I can realign. What was my past week like? What is the next week like? And you know, it's funny because we're so good at doing this for our businesses and for our clinics and programs, but not so good about our own life, which matters the most. The third part is once a month, I take 4 days off. And the reason why, it takes about 3 days for your nervous system to calm down. So if you've ever been to a vacation, and the first couple days, you're just on the phone, agitated, don't know what to do. And for most of us, it's something that needs to be looked at. But the 4th day, that's the day when all the insight starts coming. That's the day when you're like, I don't want to leave this vacation. This is not something that I'm ready to do. And once a year, I spend 10 to 15 days completely off. For me, I've now done the dark room 4 times. So I spent 40 days in darkness with no food. And it became my yearly reset. And the first time I went, my whole life has shifted. Everything was changed. But then the second time, just a minor adjustment. Third time, minor adjustments. So now I'm living on the path of my passion, my purpose, and legacy. And so I never thought this would be possible, but it is when we face some of these easiest parts of our life. Now, I have prepared quite a bit of more, but I'm running low on time. So what I will do is I'm going to leave it right here with all of you. We do live experiences, retreats, workshops, also in person. So if anybody's interested in more of this framework, we can always share it with you. And we have a booth right down there where we do the little light therapy and vibroacoustics. So you can kind of use one of our meditations or breathworks to chime into this as well. Now, thank you all so much for being here. It was an honor to speaking to you all. And we'll see you guys soon.